It's April 2nd and we've started our trip down the Suwannee River. 10 o'clock in the morning. We're in the Okefenokee Swamp right now. We'll be going out through the sill down to the Suwannee, and not sure how far we'll make it today, but we'll stop in plenty of time to set up camp and enjoy the evening. We've made it to Griffith's Fish Camp, which is, what is that? 7 miles from our put-in. We're gonna keep going. Still just 1:30 in the afternoon, so we got plenty of time. River's starting to open up a little bit. This has been the biggest cypress tree that we've seen so far. What would you say? I don't know. That's 7 foot across, probably. Debbie spotted several alligators on up in front of us up on the land. Back on the river again, right at 10 o'clock. Woke up this morning to a turkey gobbling. Kind of neat. It was a real light rain, lasted maybe 15-20 minutes. Relaxed, getting around with coffee and breakfast, packing down. This is pretty cool. We didn't come through it, but we about could, I would say.
See it?
Mm-hmm. It's all gnarled and...
But it's so smooth.
Yeah, that one's... I bet it's at the water. I bet that's 12 foot across. This black water, the reflections down in it are so vivid. It's like it's just real. In fact, it may be brighter than what is actually out of the water growing. Multiple species. Pulled over for lunch here. Kind of been eating standing up just to give our butts a break. Real pretty area along here. He went for across. That was a good side skater. Came in off that side. I think we've seen 4 since since Fargo, yeah, and 1 before Fargo yet this morning. Still seeing them, but not near like we did yesterday. I think we're gonna have to pull off up here and gather some rain gear. The thunder's starting to sound off. It's been looking cloudy for a little bit, but been perfect paddling. Overcast, very good temperature. The wind picked up real heavy behind us. We pulled over, threw our rain jackets on, back on the river. If we had a sail, we'd probably be doing 10 miles an hour down this river. It's right behind us, so we make some good time for the next little bit. And hopefully we won't get wet. Well, we tried to make a little further down the river, but we started seeing lightning in the clouds up in front of us, so we started looking for a camp spot. Found this spot here, got the tent, tarp set up, a little bit of rain on us before we got that set up. But we pulled in here, got dinner rehydrating, and sitting here having a cocktail. Yep, got a fire going. I thought today was definitely different than yesterday. We started up in the swamp and things were a little tight on the river. I think probably just before we got to Fargo, things started opening up, more sandbars to camp on, those types of things. That was a neat area up there. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I would say bigger cypress trees.
Oh yeah, bigger.
Yeah.
More places to camp, more places to stop for lunch. Up before Fargo, we were struggling a little bit for like a lunch spot.
Yeah.
And we had to kind of make do because there's not the sandbars.
Yeah, if you see one, nab it, but we're getting down in the area now. It looks like quite often you can find a sandbar.
More alligators up
yeah,
around
what we see, we've probably seen as many as 10 today.
Yeah, I'd say.
So there are still some gators down where we're at, and we're, I would guess, a couple miles short of the Georgia-Florida line. So we're gonna start working on dinner.
Pick up the fire a little bit.
Yeah, fire's dying out, so we're gonna fire that up a bit and enjoy the evening. We pushed off for day 3, finished our coffee and breakfast this morning, got everything packed up. Looking at the map, we're actually a little ahead of our schedule, so that's a good thing. Hopefully we won't have any problems and we'll stay that way. We can start stopping a little earlier in the afternoon if we need to. But temperatures are real nice. It was foggy this morning, but there was no rain overnight, so we got lucky with that. No storms, just some light rain. After leaving camp this morning, we got into the areas where there's longer straightaways. The banks are steeper, so I would guess the river's a little bit deeper as well. Seeing some rock outcroppings. Cypress trees are just right along the edge of the river rather than being out in the river like we were seeing before. Big stands of pine over on the right side. Very shallow here. That's the bottom.
That's why it's doing this, I guess.
This is one of the big tupelo trees that we've been seeing all the way from the swamp down to where we're at now, and they're growing out in the river or alongside the river, just like the cypress do, maybe even more so. But we was hearing a lot of buzzing, and they're blooming right now, and the bees are really working at making the honeybees to make the tupelo honey. Just to give you an idea, it's crazy how big some of them are, and crazy wild configurations they make.
Little waterfall coming in.
Off the river for the day, probably put in, I'm guessing 18 miles. Found us a good camp spot, and we're still ahead of schedule. So we called her today. I would say today, the difference that I remember seeing, especially towards the end, was more of the rock, limestone rock outcropping. Banks were a little bit steeper.
Camping a little.
Yeah, I think you'd have to
much.
go up above the bank. And in fact, that's where we're going to set up our tent tonight.
Unless you're hammocking, then you might be able to find some spots down. Less alligators. We saw some.
Yeah,
We
the
saw
alligators, we're still seeing a few alligators, but it seems like they're in, when you see one, that's kind of an area that there's going to be more of them in. None of them have challenged us at all. They all try to get into the water and get away from you. So, especially when they're out sunning, it's where we're seeing most of them entering into the water. But I don't see it as an issue at all. Trying to set ourselves up to make our platform camping for Friday night. That's at Woods Ferry, I believe.
Yeah.
Massive live oak tree. Nice little backdrop for camp.
to go ashore, or did you want to stay out in the water?
You can go for a ride.